Let's make some money, everybody. It's RedChip Small Cap Radio, dedicated every trading day to discovering tomorrow's blue chips today. Those emerging companies operating under Wall Street's radar. We'll have investor showcases coming up. And in just a couple of minutes, we're going to have David Morgan of silver-investor.com, one of the foremost experts in the country on money, metals, and mining. Heard about the Yelp IPO, a different way to play the surge. Shares of Yelp, that's a big board YELP symbol, the local search and review website. Yelp soared 64% following the company's IPO last week. Over 17 million shares changing hands on Yelp's first day of trading, more than twice the number issued by the company. But the enthusiasm over the Yelp IPO is tempered by the concerns about the company's long-term prospects. According to the LA Times, Yelp faces competition from sites such as Facebook, which is moving into the growing local ad space. Yelp also is yet to turn a profit. The company lost nearly $17 million last year. That's up from nearly $10 million in 2010. Investors really seeking to profit from the local ad boom should consider Local.com, symbol LOCM, operating since 1999. LOCM is a rapid growth trajectory that should further strengthen its position in the local ad space. Over the past year, Local.com, symbol LOCM, has been diversifying its product offerings to include local display ads, daily deals, local product search results. The company also entered into a lucrative partnership with Google, and these growth initiatives enabled the company to deliver a record quarter for the period ending December 31st, 2011, and it put it on track to achieve 40% revenue growth, very handsome, and positive adjusted net income this year. To learn more about Local, symbol Lima, Oscar, Charlie, Mike, LOCM, view CEO Heath Clark's presentation from our RedChip Small Cap Virtual Conference. Download the latest research update on the company. Now, Local.com, LOCM, is a client of RedChip companies. RedChip's employees and affiliates may have positions and affect transactions in the securities or options of the issuers mentioned here. And for full financial disclosure on all RedChip companies, just go to redchip.com/disclosures. Remember, it is information, not stock trading advice. Consult your financial professional before executing anything you may hear on the big broadcast. And now let's go to the money, metals, and mining man, David Morgan of silver-investor.com.
Great to be back with you.
So what's happening out there?
Well, we've had a real big move in silver, both up and down. Silver broke from a very key formation, a cup and handle formation, went up a couple bucks. Then Bernanke spoke with Congress recently, and both gold and particularly silver got hammered quite a bit on that day. Huge volume. Pretty much something that happens in the silver and gold markets from time to time. You see these takedowns in the metals at certain times. You can never really forecast them. And it does some damage. It takes a while for the markets to reconstruct themselves and come back into the bull market that they're both still in. So I'm looking for this to take a few weeks longer, probably till we find a real strong bottom and start moving back up.
But, you know, on your website, silver-investor.com, you're saying stay the course and just keep on buying.
Absolutely. In fact, what's interesting about this takedown that happened a few days ago is that I talked to some of the dealers after the event, meaning the next day or two, and a lot of them had huge amounts of orders. So it seems as if the people in the gold and silver communities, when they see these big dips, it's like the Dow Jones when it was in such a major uptrend from 2000 through several years, they buy the dips. Same thing's happening in the metals markets now. People are buying the dips. They're not running and hiding anymore. They see it as an opportunity, not as something to be afraid of.
Now, you have often said, you know, with all the action on the gold market, that the real money is actually in the silver market because of the fundamentals of silver and the demand for silver. Tell us more.
Absolutely true. I mean, first of all, people like to say, well, why even bother looking at the gold-silver ratio? It doesn't mean anything. Well, it may not mean anything from a monetary point of view and all these other factors that I think do have some meaning, but there's an absolute fact that cannot be disputed. The gold-silver ratio tells you which one's doing better relative to the other one, a gold investor or a silver investor. A fact is a fact. Silver has been better than gold. Silver is at a ratio of about 52 92 to 1 right now. When silver was bottoming, it was an 80 to 1 ratio. So clearly, silver has outperformed gold. There is no dispute about that. Yet you still, people don't get it or don't understand what the ratio actually means. Having said that, I'm not a silver-only guy. I think that most metals investors should have both gold and silver. However, I've also said, again, that silver will outperform gold. It's done so far, and I think it will continue to do better than gold all the way up. Of course, it'll be ebbing and flowing, meaning that gold is better than silver for a while. But at the end of the day, the trend is clear that silver is outperforming gold, and by the time the market top reaches us, I think you'll have a ratio somewhere in the 20 to 1, 10 to 1 type of region, which would mean that from this point where it's 50 to 1, silver would outperform gold maybe at 2 times better, 3 times better, 4 times better, something along those lines. Now, let's be careful. Just because I believe that doesn't necessarily make it true, but I honestly have lots of good reasons that you'd have to explore in the Morgan Report or do your own research to discover why I can make that statement with such authority.
Okay, now that's the membership-based investment newsletter devoted to uncovering the world's most profitable opportunities in money, metals, and mining. And so I'm wondering I know they have to be a subscriber, but can you give us a window and what you're telling your subscribers right now?
Well, certainly I can, Gary. I'd be happy to. First of all, there was a lot of scared investors out there once silver hit the $26 level, and a few articles came out from some very knowledgeable people that silver was going to hit this 200-day or 300-day moving average. It's going to get down to 21 or 22. And I said, show me, don't tell me. It's possible. I wouldn't rule it out, but I doubt it. I think 26 is about it. It hit it one more time. It bounced right off it. I told everybody that subscribes, buy it when it's under 30. So if you go back and look at a chart and see how many days silver traded under 30 for the last 6 months, you'd be surprised. There aren't very many days traded below 30. I also stated on another program some of the years, Gary, that what's going to happen is that silver's going to edge its way up. It's going to hit 31, 2, 3, 4, 5, and everyone's going to, not everyone, but a great deal of people that were waiting to buy on the perfect price because they say, what happened? Silver's at 35. I thought it was supposed to go lower. Well, guess what, folks? It's a bull market. It's going to continue to go up. So, again, I tell people, if you're not in the market, get in it. If you're in it and you want to add to your position, get in over time. It's pretty hard to predict these ups and downs, but over time, the trend is your friend, and the trend is clearly up for the metals market.
Well, and the trend is clearly up for the metals market because there's little confidence in the ability of the world's leaders to control the economy. You, on your website, silver-investor.com, you call it what it is, a currency crisis.
Absolutely, it's a currency crisis. It's a lack, and that doesn't mean hyperinflation necessarily. What it means is there's a lack of trust in the system or a lack of trust in the currency. And there is a lack of trust in the currency, and I can not only prove it by what we're seeing, but I can prove it by the mainstream press. Russia and China have agreed to trade in each other's currencies, circumventing the U.S. dollar altogether. India and Russia have done the same thing. You're seeing more and more of these nation-states trading with each other in each other's currency and not using the U.S. dollar as a go-between. That, my friends, is a clear, absolute signal to anyone paying a little bit of attention that the dollar is on the way out. And once it starts on the way out, it's going to be, it's going to be less and less and less important in the financial system. Its writing is on the wall. I'm reading it to you. Wake up. You've got to see what's happening, and you've got to do something about it.
I think I know the answer to this question, but I have to ask it. How big a deal is Europe not being able to get its act together monetarily, fueling into the big push in metals?
It's a big deal, but I want to be cautious when I say that. It's a big deal when the market recognizes it. So I believe that we're going to slide by again, maybe one more time, and as the old adage goes, dodge the bullet for a little while longer. But at some point, you can't dodge a bullet. And that house of cards is maybe the instigator for the whole system to start really having some problems.
So,
however, it could start in any other area. I mean, there's so many black swans flying around, Gary, that one black swan hitting another, as far as I'm concerned, and then, game over kind of thing.
So you're going to get his exclusive market commentary, knowing what to expect from the economies and the markets in advance, and the forecast. You get advice for profiting from the changes ahead, locking in your profits. You get monthly updated updates on his recommended portfolio, plus his recommended asset allocations. And the best deal, if you join the Morgan Report today by going to silver-investor.com, you'll get 3 free special reports, David.
Absolutely. We've got this making green on the pink sheet, so most people don't know how to trade the Canadian stocks without getting burned. That report's probably worth a few $100s, but we say it's worth, I don't know, $19 or $29 or something. But that's a very valuable report. How to protect yourself in the event that there's some hanky-panky going on in a brokerage firm. I'm not saying there is, but a lot of people really want to secure their stock certificates. That is a very key report that we just added to the website. That report's worth, again, in my view, several $100s. I don't know what the face value on the site says, but it's very low compared to the true value of it. And then we have a couple other reports there that are available if you subscribe. This is stuff that, the reports alone are probably worth more than the subscription, let alone what goes on in the subscription. You got to remember, I save our best thinking. I say ARCs. It's not just me. There's a group that write this thing. I have the editorial and control the content.
You're the managing editor.
That's it. But, there's a lot of valuable information, and this is stuff we don't do on the public radios, and we thank Gary and all of our friends that allow us to come on their shows. But really, you get what you pay for. You pay up, you're going to get the best thinking. That's all I'm saying.
Silver-investor.com and those 3 special reports, plus all the advice and information, bulletproof shares, how to protect your stocks, silver in the next decade, and harvesting green in the pink sheets. And we're with David Morgan, silver-investor.com, money, metals, and mining. Any final comments that you can leave us with, David?
I think the time's getting short. I hate the fast sell. I hate the hard sell. I really don't like it. But the way things are shaping up this year and what I just outlined with these major nation states getting out of the dollar. I just did a lecture workshop, $1,000 a seat. I just got back from that. And I showed on a couple of these charts I've never shown before how little China is buying into the U.S. Treasury market. It's a scary, scary chart. China wants away from the dollar, and they're doing it in a massive way, not in a slow way. So that's another wake-up call. So I think people really that have been on the fence and not knowing what they should do or could do or they might do, or they got to think about it, quit thinking, take some action. I'm not saying it's going to happen this year, but I'd rather be 6 months too early than 6 minutes too late.
Absolutely. Well, it's about being proactive. If you compare this to a cafeteria counter, China, for some reason, we allowed China, Japan, Asia, a lot of our other trading partners, access to our best dishes. But when we go to their cafeteria, to use the analogy, they're saving the best stuff and not allowing us to have that. Why we allow that, I have no idea. But it behooves you to follow David's advice and become proactive and take the steps necessary to protect yourself. If you think the government is going to protect you, you better think again. In fact, think more than once about that.
I could have said it better myself, Gary. Thank you.
And again, David Morgan's website is located at silver-investor.com. Webcast videos from the RedChip Small Cap Virtual Conference held last month are now available in archive. The conference featured executive presentations from a dozen outstanding growth companies carefully selected by RedChip. Simon Dukac, former member of the MIT Blackjack team, the guy who wrote Busting Vegas and Bringing Down the House, has a really nice piece about the card-counting exploits detailed in those books, and also how the risk proposition and how to manage the proposition actually applies to your gaming life. RedChip Small Cap Radio, by the way, now available on iTunes. Listen to the day's show at your convenience on your favorite device, and add RedChip Small Cap Radio to your iTunes account. It's RedChipRadio.com. I'm Gary McKenzie. We're on a mission to discover tomorrow's blue chips today, and we shall continue after these short words.
I'm Sarah, and this is my story.
I'm Ellen, and this is my story.
One night, I was at a bar.
I
was having fun with my friends.
I
had one too many drinks.
I
got behind the wheel to go home.
I got a cab to go home.
All of a sudden, from out of nowhere, a squirrel ran across the road. It happened so quickly, I barely had time to react.
It happened so quickly, the cabbie barely had time to react.
I swerved.
The cab swerved.
I can't believe it. I hit a guy.
I cannot believe it. The cabbie just missed a guy.
I wish I took a cab.
Thank goodness I took a cab.
You have the choice to save a life. Don't drive buzzed. It's a decision you'll never regret. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent? 1 in 260,000. The odds of this born racer having 157 career top 10 finishes in NASCAR? 1 in 125 billion. But every driver seeks the pinnacle of their achievements. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year? 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 110. I'm NASCAR driver Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism.
Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
We first opened about 10 years ago. We were small, just a few of us, but it was exciting. I always dreamt of having my own business. It was kind of slow at first, but things started picking up. We had big plans, but in our wildest dreams, we never thought we'd have this much work. Yeah, with so many businesses caught off guard by the storm, Reed Waste Management has never been busier.
What will become of your business after a disaster? Nearly 2/3 of businesses aren't prepared for an emergency, and 40% of businesses that experience a disaster never recover. Make an emergency plan now, before it's too late. For a free online tool that helps you develop an emergency plan to keep your business up and running should disaster strike, visit ready.gov/business. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the American Red Cross, and the Ad Council.
RedChip Radio continues. How can you participate in America's onshore oil and gas boom? Well, we've got a good candidate for you for your due diligence. Gary McKenzie back with another segment of RedChip Small Cap Radio. Cross-Border Resources XBOR. Let's bring in the CEO of this company, Will Gray. Will, tell us all about it.
We're definitely out there participating in wells, doing what we need to do to provide shareholder value.
Cross-Border Resources, symbol XBOR, X-Ray Boy, Oscar Romeo. So what is the path, Will?
Well, the path is just to grow production. We originally thought we were going to reach that 500 barrel of oil equivalent per day mark by the end of 2011. And essentially, we've revised that downward to more around that 400, 420 range because 3 of the wells that we expected to spud first, in November, or probably actually not in late October, didn't really get going till late November. So that kind of delayed us for 30 days. And those 3 wells are larger working interest wells. One we own around 37.5% interest with Cimarex in our second Bone Spring well, and the other 2 wells we own about, I think, an average of about a 14% interest on each well. So those expectations are extremely high. So, we're drilling those as we speak. They should reach total depth. What we're looking at is exiting, let's just say January. So we're about 30 days delayed north of that 500 barrel of oil equivalent per day mark.
Which has been your target at 500 BBL mark. So Cross-Border Resources, symbol XBOR, and for your complimentary investor kit, RedChipRadio.com, or call a specialist now, 1-800-REDCHIP, extension 0. You're in the Permian Basin, and this has really been talked about for the better part of a century. You've had periods of boom and bust, but tell us how the new technologies and the pricing of petroleum has really been a sea change for you.
You know what's interesting? I was asked this question by Intercom yesterday. We did a interview for that Intercom out of Denver, and that was one of their questions: is how does this boom compare to other booms? And I think the other booms have always been driven by price, And I think this particular boom is one, is price, but two is increasing technology. And when I say increasing technology, that's going to be due to drilling technology, these horizontals, as well as on how they frack and complete the wells. And what's the buzz has really been about, two different plays. One is what they call the Bone Springs, and the second play is the Wolfcamp Shale, the more unconventional plays. And of course, as these unconventional plays have developed in and around the country, I think the technology is now carried over in the Permian. And it's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing the finds that they've come up with, and more importantly, the rates of return of which these wells are being brought in at $100 oil is just as amazing as anything else.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of investors out there that really want to vote their political feeling that America really needs to get off of these unreliable sources of foreign oil, and here's an opportunity to raise the flag for domestic onshore production.
Exactly. I mean, there's still a lot of oil and gas reserves here in the U.S., and the shale gas is going to play a big part of our future, of the U.S. domestic future. How large a part is still yet to be determined, but we have a lot of natural gas here in the U.S., and I think we should really focus our efforts on utilizing that to wean ourselves off of foreign oil dependency.
Will Gray, CEO of Cross Border Resources, symbol XBOR. Time for your final comments. What else should we add to this dialogue, or give us a general overview as to why investors really need to do some due diligence here on XBOR?
Well, when you look at the fundamentals of any microcap stock, there's a lot out there. Very few succeed. And of course, with any business, you want to make sure that the fundamentals are good, first and foremost. And so when you look at the fundamentals of Cross Border Resources, on a adjusted EBITDA basis, we're positive. We've grown our production tremendously from Q1 of this year onward, and we're setting our sights high in 2012. A lot of excitement around the company right now, around the company's assets, and all we can do is we've got a very good footprint. And typically in the oil and gas business, the larger the footprint, the better luck you seem to have. And of course, I think we're experiencing that right now with the wells that we're bringing online with good production.
And in the Permian Basin, a final question. Oftentimes you're known and understood and respected by the company you're keeping. Tell us some of the names of the folks that are your next-door neighbors in that area in the Southwest.
Well, I mean, the ones that we're dealing with right now would be Cimarex, and then, of course, you have Occidental, Apache, Concho Resources. I mean, we've got some really big names in there, and so we feel very blessed in the fact that these companies drill a lot of wells. So that the more experience you have, it seems to be the more you can drill more effective and efficient wells, thus keeping over expenditures down. And of course, they're not going to drill on economic wells. I mean, if you think about the portfolio these large companies have, they high grade their opportunities, and the ones they're drilling right now must rank higher than some of the others. So we feel we're in a good position to capitalize on that and just keep the ball rolling here.
Look forward to having you back soon. It's Will Gray, CEO, Cross Border Resources. Thanks so much.
Hey, Gary, thanks for your time, and thanks for the interest in Cross Border Resources.
Want to hear more? The symbol's XBOR. It's as simple as calling 1-800-RedChip extension 0. Ask a specialist for your complimentary investor kit on Cross Border Resources, X-Ray Boy, Oscar, Romeo, or go to redchipradio.com. Remember, it's information, not stock trading advice. Consult your financial professional for that. RedChip companies and its employees may hold stakes in equities discussed. RedChip receives restricted stock and cash from these companies in exchange for the RedChip investor relations platform to reach you to tell that story. And views and opinions, as always, are not that of RedChip companies or stations along the RedChip radio network, where we're heard every trading day discovering tomorrow's blue chips today. And all we ask is just a simple hour to help you become a smarter trader in the small cap space. Lots of risk, but great return. We'll be back with more after these words.
Before there were computer games and HD TV, cram courses and teaching to the test, there was this thing called imagination. A tool so powerful, it could transport kids on the most amazing journeys of their lives, from outer space to center field at Yankee Stadium. It is for these journeys that Destination Imagination was created. an extraordinary after-school program in creativity and teamwork for every child. At Destination Imagination, teams are formed and challenges are met with a whole lot of imagination. And while we can't guarantee it'll get your kid into Harvard or onto American Idol, we're pretty sure that Destination Imagination will be the most important journey they make this year. Maybe any year. Parents, teachers, start a Destination Imagination team by calling 888-321-1503 or visit DestinationImagination.org. That's DestinationImagination.org.
If you're not facing your mortgage issues, this can be the most terrifying sound in the world. It means you've fallen behind. It means hope is dwindling. It means you're another call closer to losing your home to foreclosure. Fortunately, there's hope. If you need real help and guidance, call 1-888-995-HOPE. That's 1-888-995-4673. Because nothing is worse than doing nothing. A public service announcement brought to you by NeighborWorks, the Ad Council, and this station.
There's a natural resource that exists everywhere on the planet which could benefit all of civilization, yet it's been largely ignored. That resource is women. In many of the world's poorest communities, women are denied a significant role. So often their talent and potential remain untapped. At CARE, we found in country after country that empowering women is one of the fastest ways to improve conditions and help end poverty. That's why CARE is helping provide girls and women with an education, opportunity, and a voice worldwide.
I am powerful.
I am powerful.
I am powerful. I am powerful.
It's a source of power the world can no longer afford to overlook. She has the power to change her world. You have the power to help her do it. Call 1-800-521-CARE or visit care.org.
And it's RedChip Small Cap Radio. So glad you're here with us, our VIP listeners. I'm Gary McKenzie, discovering tomorrow's blue chips today, those emerging companies operating under Wall Street's radar. And chances are you're going to find an undervalued opportunity for your portfolio. Our RedChip research director, Gary Ehlman's recently been on the road to the beautiful city of British Columbia and has some news that you can use on some new companies and a window into the mining sector. So, Gary, welcome back.
Thank you, and good day to your listeners, of course, Gary. I'm back in the office after 4 days on the road where I had occasion to travel up to Vancouver, British Columbia. There was a conference, Cambridge conference, which those people that aren't familiar with Vancouver, was a fantastic city, Gary. I mean, right on the water with the mountain ranges in the back. I had occasion to walk by the waterfront, and you have the seaplanes landing. But the main impetus for myself being there, and literally thousands of others, was that they had a conference for the mining industry. For those that are following the space, or at least keeping an eye on the gold prices and the silver prices, most of the mining companies will have multiple listings to include the Toronto Venture, and then there's various conferences, of course, where there's a gathering of these junior miners and mining companies overall. And this particular event, Gary, increased in size by 25% year over year, where there were over 500 presenting companies. So it was my pleasure to walk around and meet with some of them. I was joined there by the president of RedChip Companies, Dave Gentry. And even though this particular mining industry, and obviously I've been following it a little bit closer than some of your listeners, but it's been under pressure over the last, let's say, 8 months. These companies now are at, very interesting valuations. Most of the companies I found interesting, Gary, after chatting with the management teams, and they're in the process or currently have proved the actual resources, and to some degree, very few of them, but some of them are actually in production. But I was followed, most of the companies I found interesting, by the way, Macquarie also had earlier conversations. So in broader strokes, if you will, the macro viewpoint from my office, again, director of RedChip's research department, and it seems as though echoed by some of my friends over at Macquarie, is that these companies are approaching very intriguing valuations. I guess the real trick always, Gary, is going to be able to find those companies that are just slightly ahead of their peer group, with good valuations in good geographies, if you will, with favorable governments, infrastructure to bring these raw materials to market. So that's how I started off last week, and of course we're back in the office this week. Now, I also wanted to spend some time, and you had mentioned, let's chat about some of the new companies that are joining the RedChip family of research, and of course we also handle some of their press releases and things of this nature. One company that comes to mind first and foremost, and it's actually on our landing page at our website, that's www.redchip.com, is Assure Software. Assure Software, I had the opportunity to sit down with the CEO, Patrick Gopal. Patrick is a very interesting man, and I'm going to focus on the management just for a second, Gary, if you'll permit me. Patrick was a president of a division at Fidelity, where he had over 9,000 men and women reporting into him. And one of their focus points was on management of payroll management and things like this, and in an international basis. Now, Mr. Gopal, again, Patrick Gopal, is no longer with Fidelity. He's been working in a quasi-venture capital capacity, helping fund certain services, if you will, Gary, that he thinks are very desirable by the business community. So Assure Software is definitely one of these, and he's tapped quite a number of his lieutenants, if you will, to assist in this particular project. So Assure Software is focused mainly on, let's say, time management. If you envision a staff at McDonald's, who, by the way, I believe is a client of theirs, one of the large shipping companies. When I mention that, it's either Federal Express or UPS, but Patrick says, that particular shipper prefer not to be mentioned in promotionals and so on. But what they'll do is, they can work with, via cloud computing, is monitoring the staff. They also have, and that's in, let's say, the white-collar category. And in the blue-collar category, those that actually require to punch a time clock, whether it be at a processing center or large factory, et cetera, these time clocks actually connect to the web and also have a biometric component to them as well. So the days of old where, you could punch in Tom and Sam because you owed them one, they're long gone. So this also helps as far as scheduling going forward, keeping everybody honest, if you will, at the time clock, and more importantly, gives the accounting department and the chief financial officers department the ability to review staffing at any moment in time.
Gary, this time management software, cloud computing, etc., this sector is a massive and growing sector, right?
Yeah, it is, and I was just reading articles in today's paper, Wall Street Journal specifically, where the gentleman who founded SAP is actually making an end run at Oracle, if you will. So this cloud computing is there, but the reliance on certain hardware, which kind of lends itself to the Oracle, product line, is a little bit time-consuming because they're crunching an awful lot of data. And what SAP is looking to do now is actually shorten or abbreviate those time frames. The gentleman that, and the name escapes me right now, but the gentleman, what he did was bypassing his literally thousands of engineers and selected a group of very talented and young minds directly out of college, and I think they're doing this in Germany. But he's confident that he's going to be able to accomplish this, which will be a fantastic complement to business computing software. Having said that, though, I think the benefits of cloud computing are well understood by many, including most of your listeners. So what Assure Software is doing is just utilizing new ways of documenting and communicating with the global workforce via the cloud. And by the way, they're probably the first in the space. And you sit down and speak with Patrick, and I'm going to encourage people to go to our website because we've got interviews with Patrick, of course, and some of his teammates. And, of course, we're going to be releasing our first research report on the company soon. So, again, right place, right time, fantastic management. The best of the best as far as clients. Their growth is well documented, and dare I say, I've drank the Kool-Aid, if you will, Gary. I really do like this company. It's a fantastic addition to the companies that we cover. It is locally domiciled, but globally focused. So Assure Software, I encourage folks to take a look at that one, ASUR. Last trade is somewhere around $7.50. That's interesting to note, Gary, because during our courtship, if you will, of Assure Software and initiating coverage on the company, they attended our small cap conference at the Harvard Club in New York last November. Stock was trading under $4. We had the pleasure of just telling this story over the last few months, and the stock price has doubled. So please take a look at this particular one, and I think you'll be very well served by making an investment in this particular company.
Gary Eelman, RedChip Research Director, on with us here, talking about some of the new companies to RedChip. The Chinese stocks, the U.S. registered Chinese operating companies, have certainly been hit of late, especially in the last quarter with all the concerns about the Chinese economy. Is it overblown? Also the sense of, is there transparency in the reporting in these companies? And so we have been rather selective in picking U.S. registered Chinese operating companies here at RedChip, but we think we've got a winner here that's in the housing sector, brand new. We're going to have a growing number of reports on this company, but can you give us a preview of the newbie to RedChip as a U.S. registered Chinese operating company?
Sure. The trading acronym is HGSH. For those that aren't that well acquainted with RedChip, we do have a long history of working in the Asia-Pacific region and definitely in China. We maintain offices in Beijing. I've added to my team with new staff in Hong Kong. I've also incorporated an entity of RedChip in Singapore. Both Hong Kong and Singapore, I've both worked and lived. If you ask my wife and daughters, they would prefer Singapore over Hong Kong, but they definitely enjoyed their times in Hong Kong. And both of the times that I was there, I held a director's position with bulge bracket banks. Look, I think the listeners are well acquainted with the growth stories around the planet. China, even though it's slowed to a degree, is still outpacing many of the larger economies, even the larger of the growth economies. Having said that, the majority of the banks will have extensive staff in the region, and they have so for, 10 years and beyond. One of my past employers, Deutsche Bank's been in the region for over 50 years. So make no bones about it, Gary. I mean, whether it be Fidelity or BlackRock, to name a couple of household big names in fund management, they all maintain offices as a minimum in Hong Kong, but the likes of Fidelity and BlackRock, of course, will have offices in Beijing, in Taiwan and Taipei, of course, Seoul, Korea. In other words, they want to understand these companies with feet on the ground, meeting with management on a regular basis, doing site visits, and so on. So here at RedChip, we're taking a well-proven model, one that I worked very closely with and within with the bulge brackets while I resided and worked in the Asia-Pacific region. So to cut to the chase here, I think your listeners are well served in the small cap sector, and make no bones about that, Gary. RedChip only focuses in the small cap sector. But some of these companies are, $1 billion or approaching $1 billion of top line. That particular company I'm referring to is Longway Petroleum. They maintain licenses for distribution of finished fuels. They've acquired a new distribution facility, or almost concluding that acquisition now. This will add about $450 million to their top line. Longway enjoys 2 licenses, which are difficult to get, and they're not landlocked, if you will, to the Shanxi province. These licenses are throughout the PRC. So that's one that comes to mind. Another embattled but the company we've been following for quite a number of years is L&L Energy. L&L Energy has been focusing on the central government's mandate to consolidate a very fragmented and dangerous coal industry. L&L Energy is a U.S. company, but with extensive operations in China. Now, they've been challenged on a number of scores, if you will, but L&L Energy is making fantastic strides and additions to their staff. That's another one to take a look at, of course. And then, of course, in the educational sector, I listen to former Secretary of Education Bill Bennett daily. I like his ability to tell a story straight, and of course, with regard to the education here in the United States. But the Chinese, of course, to support their continued growth, put a huge emphasis on education. China Bilingual is one of our companies under coverage. They maintain a prep school type model there in China. They're growing. Their stats are fantastic. The revenues are there. There's tax abatement, et cetera, by the government to help promote these companies. They've been there for quite a while. So China Bilingual, and a lot of folks aren't following it, but I would encourage them to do so. It's just a fantastic company, and they've added a new campus, which they can increase their student body by over 10,000. On day one, they had over 3,000 additional students, so of course that impacts both the top and bottom line. Now, HGSH, as you had mentioned, Gary, that's one of our newest. Now, this is in the housing sector, and quite a number of people have, weighed in, if you will, with regard to China and their explosive housing growth and demand. And there's also been some negative comments, and to a degree they've been validated in that in the, let's say, the Tier 1 cities, where I think if I was a builder, I'd like to operate, but the supply is outpacing demand, at least at this moment in time. So what we're focusing on is in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. So HGSH is providing the complement, which, or housing complement to those cities where people are looking for new housing. And by the way, the governments, both provincial and at the central government level, are supporting and providing funding, if you will, for the increase in these housing projects. Now, it's a brand new project for us. Stanley Young, one of the analysts on my team, resides in Hong Kong. He's already scheduled a site visit after the Chinese New Year, where he's going to be going out there, meeting with management, of course, visiting the sites and so on. This is going to be a very thorough report. And, of course, we'll give the macro opinions about the growth, at least in this low-income housing where HGSH has pretty much set their target on. So, anyway, please stay in touch with us on that. We've got a lot of data points on the company already, and the very bottom-up approach to evaluating this company will be ready within, I would like to say, within a month's time. Because we will be looking at 3 years' worth of their financials, of course, reviewing their SAIC, which is the regulator there in China, versus their SEC filings. Your listeners will have every confidence in the world that we've done our homework, so all they have to do is start focusing on the opportunity, comparing this particular company against others in the sector, and I think they're going to like the growth.
Excellent. RedChip Director of Research, Gary Edelman, join us in there. Speaking of homework, it's obviously he does his before he comes on the air. Very comprehensive view, and we thank you for that, and have a great day, sir.
Thank you very much, Gary, and I look forward to speaking to you on a more regular basis.
You got it, Gary. And for more information on any of the companies and equities we discuss here on the big broadcast, RedChip Small Cap Radio, RedChipRadio.com, or call a specialist direct, 1-800-RedChip extension 0. It's information, not stock trading advice. Consult your financial professional for that. RedChip Companies receives restricted stock and cash from these companies in exchange for the RedChip Investor Relations platform. And RedChip Companies and its employees may have equity positions in some of the issues that we discuss. Views and opinions not that of RedChip Companies or stations along the RedChip Radio Network. Caveat emptor. Please investigate before you invest. It's your money. You've worked hard for it. And all our mission is in the small cap space is discover tomorrow's blue chips today so your money can work hard for you, ladies and gentlemen. RedChip Companies does get paid by these companies rather handsomely to tell their story. So how can we be objective? Well, we have a 20-year history to protect in discovering tomorrow's blue chips today, and we vigorously investigate and continue to follow companies that we call tomorrow's blue chips today. We'll be back with more of those after this.
When it comes to helping people and communities thrive, there is an old way.
Take care.
And there is United Way.
Ongoing quality childcare. Language skills development, tongues.
Betsy Bear Read and Write Saturdays.
Child nutrition.
Right here in your backyard and across the country, United Way is changing the way. From quick fixes to real lasting change. So we don't just address a problem like early childhood underdevelopment. We partner with state, local, and federal agencies, volunteers, educators, and community organizations, and we go deeper to get at the root causes. And we measure success not by dollars raised, but by the families and children whose lives are improved, their pride, their restored hope. That's how we approach every issue we face in every community we work in. That's change. That's what matters. That's United Way. To find out more, go to unitedway.org. And before you give, remember, there's an old way, and there's United Way.
This is President Barack Obama. In the story of America, the greatest chapters are moments of challenge, when we see people serving their country and one another. Volunteers who step forward into hospital corridors and church basements, along levees and fire lines. And the next chapter is yours to help write. Sign up to volunteer at usaservice.org. That's usaservice.org. Let's renew America together.
A message from Renew America Together, brought to you by the Ad Council.
Well, he moved early. That's going to draw the yellow flag.
Offsides, number 72, 5 yards.
Check out this man leaving the game. He's headed straight up the middle and right into a sobriety checkpoint. Let's see how he handles it.
No, officer. I haven't been drinking. I'm the designated driver.
Upon further review, this man made the right call by being a designated driver.
Sign up to be the designated driver at the stadium and always buckle up. You could follow your favorite NFL team to the Super Bowl. Provided as a public service by the station and Team Coalition.
In times like these, violence in our schools is a reality. So it's important to know what to do if a dangerous situation arises, and also how to prevent it. Kids, never bring a weapon to school. And if you see a student with one, or even hear someone talking about having a weapon, report it immediately. If something doesn't seem right or look right to you, speak up. If someone you know is showing signs of anger, or if you are feeling out of control, tell someone. If you feel threatened or bullied, tell someone. Violent acts often start out as small disagreements. Tell a parent or teacher if you see an argument taking place. It's better to let someone know about a disagreement before it gets out of hand. Let's put an end to these tragedies. Ask your school to adopt an anti-violence program. Visit ncpc.org to learn more about how to keep your school safe. That's ncpc.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Justice, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Ad Council.
And we're back with our final comments here on RedChip Small Cap Radio. I'm Gary McKenzie. Two pieces here. Online ad spending. How about the headline that this will surpass print this year? So more spending online than in the standard print advertising world. And this is a sea change world where the spending for online is going to surpass print this year. After posting more than a 20% growth last year, U.S. online ad spending forecasting a surge another 23+% this year, jumping ahead of print advertising for the first time. Industry analyst eMarketer expects double-digit annual growth to continue through mid-decade. David Hallerman, eMarketer's principal analyst, says advertisers' comfort level with integrated marketing is greater than ever. And this is really helping more advertisers and more large brands to put a larger share of dollars online. So how do we leverage this as an investor? Well, print advertising in newspapers and magazines will continue to decline while Internet ad spending rises. So we're looking for candidates in this space where online ads are expected to reach $62 billion by 2016. That's nearly double the $32 billion anticipated for print ads in the same year. And when you compare to the TV market, which is expected to see modest gains in the years ahead, the gap between online ad spending and TV ad spending, which was nearly 100% last year, is expected to significantly narrow, closing in on 15% by mid-decade. Local.com is the company we'd like to turn you on to here. LOCM, a local-oriented media company, enabling brick-and-mortar business to connect with online customers, a major beneficiary of the secular trend toward online ad spending. While positioned in a high-growth niche of this trend, Local.com, LOCM, that's Lima, Oscar, Charlie, Mike, gives you, the investor, a unique opportunity, we think, to profit from the evolutionary changes in advertising. Local marketing quickly emerging as one of the biggest opportunities in the shifting market landscape, according to Sean Vaughn, Vice President of Marketing for Ballyhoo, an Inc. 5000 local marketing and automation firm. Local.com, LOCM, a leader in the local search ad business, where companies pay triple-digit premiums for local keywords. Through December of 2010, the majority of this business was really generated in partnership with Yahoo. But more recently, the company has added a relationship with Google, which is providing a boost to their quarterly results and, they think, will drive further growth in the soon-to-be-reported fourth quarter. Now, beginning in early 2011, the company embarked on a series of acquisitions and new product launches, leveraging its core customer base while diversifying its revenue stream. And with these initiatives, Local.com, LOCM, now distributes daily deals to hundreds of thousands of email subscribers in 14 markets via Spreebird, rich media ads via Rovion, and real-time product inventory information for more than 60,000 retailers nationwide via Crillion. Together with Exact Match, the company's suite of website design services, hyper-local display ads, social media marketing services, Local.com, LOCM, is now a one-stop shop for online advertising solutions. As the online ad spending trend continues to strengthen, LOCM shares are set to move higher. Broker-dealers Canaccord Genuity and Morgan Joseph have buy ratings on Local.com, LOCM, with a median price target of $4.90. And with a company expected to exit the last reporting year with a record run rate of $96 million in revenues, now is the time, we think, to build a position in Local.com, LOCM. And for more information, go to RedChipRadio.com, REDCHIP Radio.com. Find out more about Local.com. Think Local.com, LOCM. Well, it's advertising information that I think you can use as an investor. Remember, RedChip receives restricted stock and cash from these companies in exchange for the platform to reach you. That's all the time we got. I hope it's been a great trading day for you. We'll see you next time. RedChip Small Cap Radio.